Alright, hello everyone. So before I talk about the IDs themselves, I want to talk about the unique status that Otis applies and how it actually interacts with all of the skills. Okay, so we'll use Otis as the example. So Otis here has already applied this 3 unique status. By the way, this clip has been provided by Mizu, another YouTuber, and also someone who did the testing already for this status. So yep. So this skill, right? This skill dusting that she's about to use, it has no sinking count application, alright? So there is not a single sinking count application in this skill because this skill only applies sinking count if you win a clash. And since we are attacking a staggered target, there's no clash, it means that we are one-sided attacking, and so there should be no sinking count applied. But we do have the unique status here, and that will feed us some sinking count. So let's see the interaction. First coin. Hit. No sinking, alright? Because the skill itself does not apply the sinking yet, so there is no sinking here. Moving on, we have the second coin. On this coin, on hit, okay, let me move a bit more. On hit, inflict 3 sinking, right? So when you inflict 3 sinking like this, you should only get a 1 count of sinking because you are applying a fresh stack of that sinking, right? So this should be a 3-1. Right, 3 potency and 1 count. What happens is that she hits and she gets an additional +1. Why? Because her status is 50% chance to roll and apply an additional +1 count. So she applied this fresh sinking onto the target, and then the passive triggered. So she was able to apply an additional count onto the sinking, allowing for a 3-2. So now her third skill has no count on it, which means that the next hit should apply more potency onto this thing, but reduce the count by 1. What happens on the third coin? Alright, third coin, on hit inflict 2 sinking only, so it should become 5-1. What happens is that when she hits, it is going to become a 5-2. There's a +1 sinking count here, because the passive triggered again. 50-50 chance for every skill or coin with a sinking or sinking potency application will have a chance of triggering this Echo's passive. Now, the big thing I want you all to notice, this passive did not go down at all during that entire 3-coin move. You know, Blade Lineage Faust, whenever you hit and you don't crit, it will still consume that status. Well, for Buttis, she applies 3 of these, and they don't decrease at all when the whole team hits it. The only thing that this passive actually does, right, is actually just give you a 50-50 chance of getting a +1 count. And the only way to trigger that +1 count is to have sinking potency or count onto your skills. This is a very, very powerful unique status because essentially, right, if your skill is just a -1 sinking count, you can become neutral or even positive if you trigger this. And for someone like Yi-sang, who only applies count next turn, for example, if it actually works on him, I haven't really tested yet, but if it actually works on him, he pretty much, right, feeds count to the next turn, but he also gets count this turn, essentially just doubling his count application. Because you just apply 1 now, apply 1 later. Sorry, you're basically replacing 1 now. So you just net 0. So you trigger 1 sinking hit, and then after that you also give a +1 count in the future. So it's so good because this thing is not going down. Your whole team, whether it be Mola Ishmael, DG, any of the DGs, just punching this status, they will just have a chance of getting a +1 count to their skills. Now, there aren't too many IDs yet that will do a consistent amount of sinking application, so, or have skills with all of them having sinking, but I feel like that will be fixed as the season goes on. So essentially what I'm trying to say is that this thing is a super strong enabler for any status, for any sinking status characters. Like, it's just super, super good. So anyway, that's enough about how that passive works. There are a few nuances that I haven't really ironed out yet, so we'll have to get to those later on. But now I just want to talk about the IDs themselves and their kits. Since I talked about Butler Outis first, let's talk about her kit. So she's pretty much very similar to Blade Lineage Faust, except that she has coins, and she has even more damage amplification from other sources than Faust. So I would say that this ID, right, is very, very powerful when the sinking team gets more fleshed out. Right now, it's still okay, I would say. The sinking team can actually fully function as long as you have Rimeshang. Rimeshang Rodion is really, really strong for applying a bunch of sinking, and also you slap in like Mola Ishmael and so on, and you should be able to get your positivity sinking like really, really high for a sinking Deluge nuke. But essentially, this character here, because of her unique status, and the fact that she gets so many coins, 3 coins, 4 coins, and 2 coins, as well as a passive that gives her 20% more damage and 30% more damage, she actually seems to do a very strong amount of damage. I wouldn't say like maybe super high compared to some of the really strong characters, but in a sinking team, right, she will be one of your top 3 DPSs in my opinion. Right. So let's look at the actual skills. +1 coin power, +1 coin power, +1 coin power. You need to hit 7, 5, 5 on the sinking, and that +1 will make this skill from an 11 into a 13. Because 5, 10, 13. Alright, skill 2 is going to be coin power +1. By default, it's 16. Add the coin power, now it's a 19. Moving on to skill 3. We have a 16 by default. Add the coin power, it's going to be a 4, 8, 12, 16, 16, 20. 20 in total, not including the passive. So let's talk about the passive. 3 Gloom Rest to trigger this. So Gloom will be the name of this status. You will be able to get a bunch of IDs with a lot of Gloom and a lot of Gloom guards as well, because their guards are also Gloom. So what you get is that the first condition is you must clash something with less than 0 SP. I have not tested if Abnos count yet, so that one you have to wait a little bit. Some Abnos don't have SP, so I do not know if this will actually work on them. But essentially, you get a clash power +1 for free and extra 20% damage for free. Yeah. If you're fighting mobs, if you're fighting some bosses with SP, like this is just free clashing, free damage. It's so good. Especially since you'll be running her in the sinking team, so you will be nuking the SP. Alright. Next one, deal 30% more damage against targets with Echoes of the Manor. Even freer, because the moment you apply 3 Echoes of the Manor, that means it will last 3 turns. So for 3 turns, you get 30% extra damage. Because this thing only ticks down one per turn. It's like burn, basically. So just treat it like that. Even though it doesn't have any count or anything like that, it goes down by 1, and that 1 is essentially the count. That's really it. Nothing else to it. Right. Moving on, next one. When winning a clash without losing a single coin, heal 10 SP. If unit is already at max SP, gain 3 offense level up. 3 offense level is 1 additional clashing power. And basically, as long as you win clash, you will win more clash. So overall, this passive is just powerful. Bunch of damage and more clash. Literally one of the clashes just requires you to hit something with less than 0 SP. Like, damn, that's actually free in a sinking team. Like, holy shit, this character has a really powerful passive to buff all of her damage, and even if you cannot get this part here, maybe because the Abno has no SP, you always get 30% more, because your passive, this unique status, you just trigger 1 time, lasts for 3 turns, for those 3 turns you just punch, and then you do damage. Like, so good. Right, so let's we talked about that. Now let's talk about the rest of the lines. I want to talk about skill 2 and skill 3, because clash win inflict +2 sinking count, meaning that 3 coins +2, so you are -1 sinking count. But remember, the passive 50% chance to roll an additional +1 sinking count application, meaning that even though you have refunded 2, you can still go even higher. You can roll on this one, the second coin, get a +1 on this, boom, +1. Then put another one here, +1, boom. So actually you only -1 here, but you could +1 here and you could +1 here. Right, so honestly, with that passive, this skill could become neutral, pretty much, yeah. Highly likely to become neutral, basically. Skill 3, refund 3. And on these 4 coins, unfortunately, I think none of them inflict the sinking potency or the sinking count. So they do not give as much of a refund as like a skill 2 would. But the skill 3 will still apply the Echoes of the Manor. And on the clash win, it will refund you this 3, and you only lose basically -1. So it's still very, very good, because -1 only, your Rimeshang will handle the rest, honestly. Yeah, so it's still really, really powerful. Yep, this overall, all of these kits is just so clean, so easy to understand. And after that, you've got potency, 5 potency, and then this is just, if the target has Echoes of the Manor, basically if you draw this Echoes of the Manor, this skill 3, anytime when you have already applied it 1 time, you get to trigger this extra effect here. This is a sometimes effect, because it's based on, you need to reroll to get this, apply it, and then the next turn, you may be able to get your skill 3 again. Yeah, it's gonna be a bit slow, but I mean, whatever. You can't really force this one to cycle faster. Yep. I feel like because Echoes of the Manor is like this, it's possible that in the future they add more IDs with also Echoes of the Manor, so you can maintain a high uptime on the thing. Otherwise, it will just be her re-rolling in order to get to this Echoes of the Manor, so that you can help to start maintaining that sinking and start building it up for a big sinking deluge. Defense, very powerful. It's an evasion, gloom, and that's what you want for your passive. And maybe for future like Cafe, Heath IDs. And on evasion, you also inflict sinking. So yeah, that's amazing, right? Okay, so yeah, this character is just overall super strong. You got evasion on your defense skill, you got gloom everywhere for your passive, and then you have very solid coin power, and you have a passive that gives you even more clashing power and more damage against targets with the conditions met. Yep, so overall, just very strong character. I just want to mention that if you uptie tree her, she actually already functions as a full-on support, pretty much. Her Echoes of the Manor still remains. She still gets the refund. What she loses is the coin power, so the clashing gets dropped a little bit, and the conditions for getting some of this stuff here is dropped. But it is functional, because you can still get your 13 on your skill 1, you can still get 16 here and 16 here. You treat her a bit like a Hooklu, essentially. A slightly worse Hooklu at uptie 3. But if you just want her for the sinking gang, you can actually just uptie 3 her, and you can use her for the sinking gang already. Yep. Wouldn't recommend for a new player, but for old players who want to go into the sinking, or you want to build your Spice Bush Isang and do a sinking deluge funny number, feel free to go for this character. Very, very recommended, honestly, for any sinking gang. Moving on to Meursault. Meursault, I thought it was going to be actual dog shit, because I didn't think his damage was going to be very good, or his coin was going to be very good, and the fact that he's super negative on the rupture count is just really bad. But surprisingly, his passive is very strong. His passive is triple Glut Rest, Clash Power +1 against targets with Rupture. In the Rupture team, this is just free, and Clash Power +2 if the target has 5+ Rupture count. This one's a bit harder with him in the team, but +2 and a +1 on top of that is kind of strong, because there's a whopping +3 clashing power. It's not coin power, sadly, so it's not like damage or anything, but clashing, you can actually clash. You can treat him like a Liu Ryoshu, who can, like, he has phenomenal clashing power. Like, let's look at skill 1, alright? So let's say skill 1, you got your coin power +2, you meet the condition, you get 8. 8 + 5, that's going to be 813. But then you also have a chance of getting a +1 and a +2. The +1 is basically given, so you can roll 14, but then you have the +2, boom, you got a 16 clashing power on your skill 1. Like, that's crazy, and you didn't even add like Regret Meursault onto it. Regret Meursault will add another +1 onto that, which would become 17, right? Yeah, so really, really solid striking move here, not bad. And also inflict 1 potency and only 1 coin, so it won't really impact your rupture too much. Skill 2 is a lot better, in my opinion, because skill 2 has this clash win, inflict +2 rupture count, making this a net 0 rupture count loss, which is very good. And remember, we are in the business of clashing to win this one. So if you meet your conditions, you're able to get your coin power +1, so it becomes a 6, 12, 12 + 4, 16, but then you add another +3 clash power, not even including your Regret Meursault, +3 clash power onto 16 is 19. So yeah, really good clashing power if conditions met. And if you add Regret Meursault, even better than that, right? And then besides this rupture count refund, you also get a second coin hit that applies 2 rupture potency and also 2 offense level down if you met the condition, right? Like I said before, offense level down, they're trying to cook something with this, but I cannot pinpoint what they're trying to cook with this. Right now, I think that offense level down is not worth slotting him in, but if they release more offense level down support in the future, or they cook with this status, it's possible that we might see this character be used more often in the future. But anyway, right now, I don't think it's that important. Right, next one is Relentless. By default, right, let's look at this first, right? This is 2, 4, 6, 8, 8 + 4, 12. 12 on a skill tree is absolute dog water. You would never want this. But add the coin power, becomes 16. 16, you also get the clash power +1, so 17. Then after that, you plus another 3, you get your 20, not including Regret Meursault, which will add another +2 coin power and -1 base power, which would be very strong on Relentless. So actually using your skill tree as a nuke is not a bad idea with this Meursault. But on the one hand, Relentless will nuke your rupture count on the target a lot. It's -4, and it's not a gloom skill, so it will not trigger ADD Gregor, so you will not be able to refund the rupture count. Yep. So the trade-off for that is offense level down. Offense level down and 4th coin, inflict 4 rupture, and also offense level down if you have 6+ rupture on the target. So like I said, they are trying something with this offense level down. Otherwise, this character here, I really have no clue why he exists. Like, he has double gluttony, so he should be on the Rupture gang. But at the same time, I'm not trading off -4 Rupture count for offense level down. Like, no way. No way. I would rather slot in any of the other Rupture units. There are plenty of other Rupture units to slot in. If you even like want to slot this character in, just consider that you could just throw in another character with a 4 coin move with higher coin power, and you'll be able to do more damage than this guy. So yeah, I think the only like big skill to trade him off for is probably Smackdown, because you know, net 0 and you are able to slowly build up Rupture, and for some reason you can also inflict your offense level down. I don't know what's up with this character for now. Maybe P1 will cook it and then I'll come back later. Otherwise, he's going to be going onto my bench. Why? Because his bench passive is very good. His bench passive is when one ally with the fastest speed hits an enemy with 3+ Rupture, inflict 1 offense level down up to 3 times, meaning you can get a -1 clash power onto an enemy. It's not even really good. It's just like, sure, I might as well slap it in because I'm running Rupture. So yeah, I'll slap him in. So yeah, I will only get this unit just for this passive here as of now. Because Glut Rest super easy in Rupture, and hitting something with 3+ Rupture is super easy with the Rupture gang also. So yeah, besides that, this character has above average clashing for a lot of his moves, or even just average clashing if you only meet some conditions. So yeah, right. Overall, I would say he wasn't as dog shit as I thought, but at the same time, I still don't feel like I will ever trade my -4 Rupture count for offense level down here. Yeah, feel free to correct me if I read anything wrong. And yeah, Uptie 3, like, I'm not even going to talk about it, because Uptie 3 actually minuses his coin power, so obviously you do not want him Uptie 3. Okay, right, with Meursault out of the way, pretty much in summary of all of this, I think Outis is going to be a very core character in the future of any sinking team. I think Meursault needs to cook something up with P-Moon in order to become actually, even considered to be slapped into a team. If I go into my team comms, I think the current sinking team is going to be this, pretty much. With the big note that you must have your Rhyme Shank, and it must be Uptie 4, otherwise you do not get the massive +8 sinking count here. So yeah, that's very important, very important for the rest of the Rupture team. Sorry, not Rupture, sinking team. Yep. So you must have Rhyme Shank, and then you probably want Ishmael, because Ishmael also has very strong 5+ sinking count, as well as sinking potency, and sometimes a little bit of sinking count here. And then of course Yi Sang, because why would you play sinking without freaking Yi Sang? Without the sinking deluge, like, why? Why would you do that to yourself, right? Okay, so these 3, probably slot in your Dichi Honglu, because why not? He is going to repeat coin, and it's going to inflict positive sinking count, and he can trigger the passive on Outis, so it becomes a positive +1 per hit, which is kind of insane when you think about it. And then of course you also have your what? This one is a bit of a -2, unfortunately, because only his 3rd coin is going to apply sinking, and then for this one it's also going to be +4 sinking count on the 3rd hit, so it will be a +5 sometimes and a +4 most of the other time. But it's fine, it's always going to be positive because it's +4. So yeah, Dichi also very strong consideration for the sinking team. I think in the future, I'm only expecting a Heathcliff ID for sinking and a Caffey ID for sinking. Caffey ID, I do not know who is going to get it. It could be Faust, because I suspect Caffey is going to be a manipulative type of character with how the first part of the story went. I suspect she's manipulating Heath and Linden and all of them to go and follow her plans or whatever. I blame the ring, alright? It's the ring's fault. But yeah, I think it's going to be Faust, because Faust has many plans. I don't think Caffey would fit these 2. But I think if I do get a Caffey, if I get a Caffey Dawn or Caffey Ryoshu, I'll be totally fine anyway, yeah. The one I really don't want to get a Caffey for is Ishmael or Rhodey or Outis, because like it doesn't make sense. Outis definitely not, right? But if I get another Caffey ID for these 2, I'm just gonna be like, why? Why? Just let me run the sinking team that I have in my mind already. But yeah. Okay, so that's gonna be it for this video. The only big things I need to test right now is whether Yi Sang can trigger Outis's Echoes of the Manor, because Yi Sang's skill says he will apply it next turn instead of this turn. So I need to double check whether Yi Sang will actually trigger these Echoes of the Manor. And then the last one I also need to check is this one, where when clashing against targets with less than 0 SP, if I clash an Abno with no SP, will this still trigger? That's the 2 things I need to test. If you have tested already, feel free to comment and let me know what the results are of your test. Alright, so that's gonna be it for the video. Pretty much, Outis, super good. Definitely recommend. Meursault, just wait a little bit longer before you decide to pull him. Alright, so that's it. Thanks guys for watching, and see you guys later. Bye bye.